a servant's heart. Welcome to the podcast. Inspiration, motivation takes. Listen to the podcast. We're all about to talk about life. Our guests will share their life story. We want you to success in life and business. We're ready and we will start shortly. We're gonna talk about life. We're going to speak on business. You're gonna shine bright. We are going to witness business with a servant's heart. With hosts Steve Ramon and Ray. Inspiration, education talks. Listen to the podcast. Steve Ramon.
Welcome, everyone, to Doing Business with a Servant's Heart podcast. I'm your host, Steve Ramon. I'm thrilled to have you join us today. This podcast is dedicated to exploring the idea of doing business and living life with a purpose, serving others, and yes, achieving success. We believe that when you approach our work and our lives with a servant's heart, we can truly make a difference. We created this show for you because we want everyone to be motivated, inspired, and educated to make an impact in your world. And wait till you hear about my guest. I just had a nice conversation with him. You guys are going to be blown away. And if you're an entrepreneur, a community leader, simply someone looking for more purpose in their daily life, this podcast is here to support and uplift you. Think about, while you're listening to this great guest, how you're going to serve today, not tomorrow, but today, and what impact will you create today. And I want to thank my sponsor. Today's episode is brought to you by an amazing sponsor, Pantheon Alliance. Picture yourself joining an elite community of thriving business owners from a variety of industries, all working together to create a powerful referral marketplace. Do business, not talk business. It's an incredible opportunity to expand your network and elevate your business to new heights. With that being said, as always, I love my podcast. I get to spend 5-10 minutes with my guest and learn about him. This guy is going to blow you out of water because I've not seen a bigger servant's heart in the 5-10 minutes I've talked to him. Carl, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I really appreciate being here.
Me too. I want to jump in. I want to talk about our Refuse to Fail group, and we'll jump into your podcast that you're doing too. Talk about that group, what inspired it, what motivated you to start it.
Well, in 2010, I had a face-to-face networking organization called Tampa Bay Networkers. I'm in the Tampa Bay area of Florida, and it was face-to-face, and I kind of designed it after everything that I had seen other people do. And so as a result, it was no different than anybody else's the networking organization, and they did the same things, right? And so I call that conventional business networking. And in 2017, I actually was sitting here at this desk, and I was the hair on my neck went up. And being a business consultant, I thought, this is not working. I understand that people are coming there, but they're treating it more like a trade show than an opportunity to, find people they could refer or connect to other people. And so I quit networking myself in 2017, and I started going to other groups, and I just sat and watched more than anything. I participated because they wanted me to, but I more or less watched what other people did. And I found that they were doing the same things. They were passing out business cards, doing elevator sales pitches, and the same thing every time, every week, over and over and over again. And when I must have collected enough business cards, I could have wallpapered 3 houses. Okay. I mean, you can't take those with you, right? So I looked at all the things that I felt weren't working with networking. Okay. And so I created a formula, and that was a little bit different. It's kind of unconventional. And I started thinking, well, maybe I need to test this. So I did presentations locally because there wasn't a Zoom type thing going on that heavy in 2017 and then 19, and then COVID hit. And I couldn't do it anymore. So then I got online, and as a result, I got to the point where I'm at now, to where I do this virtually across North America. We do Canada and the US, and it's called I Refuse #2 Fail. And and the idea, I mean, I got some negative feedback. Oh, it's okay to fail, Carl. No, it's okay to fall, not fail. Always go in with attitude, you're not going to fail. And that I did that almost on purpose, because sometimes I think you need to get people's attention. Yeah. But the premise of the group is that we kind of force feed what my formula is for networking. And it's not everybody's cup of tea, because a lot of people are out there coming to these events to try to sell. They treat it more like a trade show than they do a networking, right? And I personally, as a business consultant in 2010, when I started the organization, the main reason why I did it was kind of, kind of greedy, because you're not going to believe this, but I don't know everything. I mean, I really don't. And I figured if I was going to help other people, I needed to have people that knew more or wanted to do things that I didn't know how to do. Okay. And so I figured if I networked, I could run into those people. I could, connect the people that I was helping. Okay. Because I've been doing free business consulting since 2010. I don't charge anything for my consulting. So that's why I did it. But then I realized after a while that that's not what everybody was doing. They were going there to try to sell stuff. And I thought, that's just not working for me. So the way this works is we call our weekly events that are free 15-30 events. And the 15 is basically, if you're new, you come in and I interview Steve in front of everybody that shows up in the room. Okay. And I ask you questions, and I ask most everybody the basic questions that I'm going to ask every week. But then depending on what you do, I'm going to ask you more directly about your podcast, about your business. And then everybody else can raise their hand if they want, and they can ask something if I didn't ask all the questions. And I give them, that's up to 15 minutes, which isn't a long time, but it's enough. Usually we go 6-8 minutes and we've pretty much got a good idea, of what Steve does, right? And then the 30 is where we then have breakout rooms, and everybody can select one person and they can have a breakout with that person to further their conversation and hopeful relationship with that person. And hopefully they're doing it not to find out what kind of cake they eat or what kind of movie they like, but we try to make it 95% business and 5% social. And but we do joke around. We have a lot of fun. We jerk each other's chain. But that's basically what it is. And I just, it's fun, and people are starting to catch on, and the better quality business people are coming back, which means I must be onto something. So we're doing that, and then we have a partnership that we have, and that's not a lot of people, but I call it a partnership and not a membership, because I think that I don't have all the answers. So all my partners and all, we meet, we decide what's going to make this better. How can we help more people? And that's pretty much the premise. That's the thumbnail of it.
Partnerships are the way to grow. You can't grow by yourself. I don't care who you are, Elon Musk or Steve Ramona or Carl Lucci. We need help. And I love that you do that, because, people know on my podcast, I'm a big partnerships guy. Two words I heard from you: free and fun. Yep. The two F's.
Yeah.
Missing in business. Why are you doing this for free? Because I know some audience members are going, charge them $9.99 a month or whatever. Why is it free?
Well, first of all, you're up against free. I mean, there's a lot of free out there, and people, are not going to jump right in. The partnership isn't free. I mean, I have a fee for that, but then I also, if they do what they're supposed to do, they get their money back. So really, it's kind of like a deposit.
Yeah.
Because all I'm doing is because, you find if they don't have some skin in the game, they won't do anything. They'll stay home and watch reruns of Golden Girls or something. And so I want them to show up. And so they know they have some skin in the game. So that's the only reason why I charge in the partnership, but it's not a big, let me put it to you this way. If you can't afford this, you're probably not in business. Okay. But it's not a large fee, but I don't accept everybody. Okay. I turned 18 people down last year because they just didn't have we follow Zig Ziglar's philosophy. If you help enough other people in life get what they want, you'll get what you want. And that's the main basis behind it. But that's kind of what we do. Now, as far as my consulting, I get that all the time. Why aren't you charging for your consulting? Okay. Well, the reason why I don't is because I found when I first started in 2010, I thought I would charge. I don't want to be a coach. I'm not a coach. I'm strictly an advisor or consultant. And I knew that if I did that, I could talk to a lot of people. If I was a coach, I could only handle maybe 4 or 5 a month and do a good job. But the reason why I did it free, I found a lot of people who are struggling really can't afford a coach right now. You need a coach, I'll get you a coach. Okay. But I can offer my 45 plus years business, knowledge, and hopefully save them maybe 40 years that I've spent. And I joke about it, but I tell people I've spent over 45 years in business and probably made $450,000 in mistakes. And all I'm doing is trying to cut some of that time down and expense down for you. And I'm just kind of giving back right now. I'm doing this because I enjoy it. I'm kind of semi-retired, but I work harder than most people that are working, I think. To me, it's fun. I enjoy it. Just helping people, makes the hair on my arm stand up when somebody says, Carl, I did that and it worked. So
Amen.
that's why I don't charge. And that's why the events are free, because a lot of people are not going to come if they know they even have to pay $1,
Yeah.
So at least this way we can help some people and hopefully grow.
And the reason I asked that, because the Servant Hearts does that. I believe you should have free and you should have paid. I totally agree with you.
Yeah.
Have a paid version. People are going to skin in the game. And if they don't, they're going to leave. I love you, but move on. This is not a fit for
Sure.
you. So I love because that's a servant's heart. You need value, get paid for that, and then free. You have to have both.
Yeah. I mean, I make enough to pay me to do what I'm doing.
Well, that's my next question is, you're not homeless. You're not living on the street.
No.
And you're still giving your stuff away.
Yeah.
Audience, I'm just going to say.
I used to be a financial planner, so I followed my own rules. And luckily, I'm not wealthy by any means. I'm not going to sit here and tell you I've got 3 pillars in front of my house. But the thing is that I don't owe anybody anything, and my needs are not that great. And so I can afford to do this. If I can't, then I guess I'll go get a job. But I don't see that happening.
And you see, you're always thinking ahead to, and you're not, but if you had to, you said, I'll get a job.
Oh, I'd do whatever I had to do.
Yeah, exactly. We're both gray-haired guys, so kind of listen to us a little bit. We've been through the ringer a little bit a few times. I want to jump in because I love your expertise in sales and marketing. It is, to me, the backbone of a business. You get those two down, HR and all the other stuff you can fix, but if you do this well, am I correct? You can start off a startup or a business much better?
Oh, absolutely. If you're going to start off, the thing I say, is most important. Number one, research, for heaven's sakes. Too many people get shiny object syndrome. They say, oh, I can do that. And they go do it. And it's a mistake. Because they didn't research it. So understand what it is. I will tell you that we just had a conversation. I told you about a podcast we're starting, but we just had a conversation about this, and it was about passion. And a lot of people are tossing around the word passion, that if you're passionate, the money will follow. I find that to be a big mistake, buying into that, because it takes a lot more than passion. Passion's good. It's good that you love what you do. I'm not saying there's not a place for it, but I always tell the story that I really don't like bumper stickers. Okay. I'll read them on the back of your car, but I don't want to put them on my car. I love reading them on the back of your car, but I don't want it on my car. But you give me 10,000 people that want bumper stickers, I don't have to be passionate about them. I'm passionate about selling those bumper stickers.
Yeah.
Okay. So passion, is involved. But that's one thing, is researching, knowing what your competition is going to be and what it is, and then understanding that you're going to work harder than you've ever worked in your life. As an entrepreneur, but it's the most fulfilling thing, because I call a job a job, which is just over broke. Okay. But if you're an entrepreneur, the sky's the limit. You make whatever you want.
And I like it's a beautiful analogy in regards to passion or your desire or want.
Yeah. It doesn't hurt. You want to be.
Yeah. You get you out of bed, but it's not going to make the sales calls. It's not going to create your marketing, right? And audience, this is it's $1 million tip. He's not saying not to have passion. We both have passion.
No, it's great if you are.
Yeah, yes.
But it's not the only thing.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have a background in video and photography production.
I used to call myself a jack of all trades and a master of none. I worked in the grocery business when I was a kid, and I worked for an amazing man called Publix Markets, and I knew the owner personally. And he taught me a tremendous amount about business. And then I've done several different things. And then I worked with the man by the name of Stuart Arnold, who used to be the former owner of the Auto Trader publication, if you're familiar with that. Yep. And he sold that for an ungodly amount of money and went into television production. And he hired me as a business developer, because he just wanted to develop a bunch of businesses within the television industry. And I worked for him for about 11 years until he figured that, he had 4 $1 million homes, 105 foot. Yeah, he didn't need that, so he just went away. And then I went home and thought, I don't want to work for anybody anymore. So yes, I have a video and photography background. I did photography in the 80s, sailboat races,
Wow.
and things like that, different things. So I've done a little bit of everything.
And enjoyed it. Sounds like
Oh
you had
yeah,
fun.
it's about the trip. Somebody asked me what my definition of success was, and I said, well, I think you have to look in the rearview mirror, and if you enjoyed the trip, you were successful. If you hated it, then you weren't successful.
And that happens both ways.
Yeah.
That's the audience. And there's a lesson in that. We kind of went in the direction I didn't think we'd go. You had a mentor, or maybe a few. How
Oh yeah.
important was having this mentor for young people listening?
You know what? When you going back to what you said about being an entrepreneur, I think it's absolutely necessary to have a mentor, a requirement. Somebody that's been there, somebody that's done that. It'll cut out a bunch of your anguish. Okay. And you need a cheerleader. You need somebody that's positive and somebody that's going to pump you and keep you going. There's enough stinking thinking out there to go around. You don't need to be listening to that, you know? And so I firmly believe, I mean, Mr. Jenkins was a mentor. I mean, when I was 16, I can tell you stories about him that he taught me that have just stuck with me. My dad was an amazing salesperson, and I didn't even know it until after he passed away. You know what I mean? You learn all these things, and all of a sudden he's dead, and you realize, oh my God, these things are coming back to me now,
Yeah.
And then Mr. Stuart Arnold, I learned a whole lot about him. I mean, he made a ton of money. I know the secret sauce. I know how he did it. And it's an amazing story. So mentors, I think, are required.
Yeah.
I don't think you can do it without a mentor. I believe that probably every successful billionaire that you've thought of probably had mentors. They may not talk about them, but they didn't get there by themselves.
No. I have a guy that was on my show. Unfortunately, he's passed away. He was homeless 3 times and a billionaire 4 times.
Yeah, there you go.
Think and Grow Rich. He just reached out to successful people and had them mentor him. So I love that. Go ahead.
You know what the biggest misconception is, I think, or one of the biggest misconceptions people have about wealthy people, or if you want to call it successful people, okay, because everybody's idea of success is different, but is that, oh, I can't talk to him because he's a billionaire, or I can't talk to him. Do you know these people want to talk to you? Do you know they want to tell you their story? They're proud of what they did. They want to share with you everything. They're not keeping it to their hip. They've already made it. Okay. And the thing is that's why you should always, don't look for people who are making less than you are and less successful as a mentor, because they're just going to bring you down there. Look for people that are up here, and then go even higher if you have to. I mean, just always, because everybody, most everybody puts their pants on the same way, the one leg at a time, regardless how much money you have. And you would be surprised. And what's the worst that can happen? They say, no, I just don't have time. That's the worst that can happen.
Yeah. You're
Next,
speaking my language. Yeah. You're my brother from another mother. I say that all the time. Next, because I've reached out with my podcast, to people. I love that. And audience, this is another big tip, even in sales.
Yes.
Hey,
oh,
I'd
absolutely.
love to hire, no, I'm not interested. Okay. Next. Thank you very much. Love them in business and move on. I love this. You're definitely an expert. I've got to talk about the podcast, because your title of your podcast is a game changer. Talk about the podcast.
All right. Well, we just started this, and and it's evolving, and just like everything else. But I was talking to one of my partners that's in the I Refuse to Fail, and he happens to be an Australian gentleman. And we were talking one day, and I said, somebody ought to start a podcast where they're just sitting around shooting the shit about business. And he said, hey, mate, why don't I buy that domain? Shoot the shit business podcast. And I said, I laughed, and I said, yeah, okay. So then we got to talking about it, and we talked about the how we wanted to do it. And we're not monetizing it. It's out there. I mean, people can watch it. It's, it'll be free. We've already got 2-3 episodes in the bag as of this date. And, but it's going to evolve. But basically we're picking topics that sometimes are serious, but we try to bring some levity to it, or stories, because I got 1,000 stories related to sales and marketing and success and failure and everything. I think our first podcast we did was about having a strong support system, and so the serious topics, but we're trying to make it where we're just all as if we just got off work, we're down to the local bar kicking one back and sitting there talking about But we figured we'd call it the Shoot the Shit Biz Show. Number one, there's a shock factor there. People say, "Oh my God, listen to what they said," but it'll get people's attention, And so we're hoping, that people start. Well, we're already getting quite a few views just on the initial rollout, but we're putting it together pretty well, I think, and we're having fun.
That's the bottom line. You gotta have fun in business, because business can be bad.
Oh, it
That. I
can
know
be.
that. It'll happen just naturally. Having the fun part of it takes that all away. That's
I
why I
say
love
the
doing
same thing about sales. That people make it too damn hard. I mean, it's really should be fun. Selling. I actually wrote a book I never published. Okay, it was called "Stop Selling and Start Making Money." Okay, and because I think people just make it too difficult. I think it's fun.
Yeah, it's tied to the transaction, not tied
Yeah,
to the person.
exactly.
Because people don't realize you can meet me. I'm not your client, but I can give you 10 clients. Sometimes that one person you meet will give you more money and more clients and you're not even selling me. You're selling me to my network. So I love
Yeah,
that. So
but
how
it
can
just
people
changes.
go ahead? How can people find Shoot the Shit so we can build your subscribers?
Well, right now you can go to YouTube and look up "Shoot the Shit."
Okay.
I don't have it right at hand
Yeah.
to give you the URL, but if you just type in, well, believe it or not, that we found out there's a lot of Shoot the Shit on YouTube, but if you look up the Shoot the Shit Business podcast, we should come up, okay? Because they're SEOing all the videos, and we've got shorts and stuff in there. So, yeah, and then of course, if somebody wants to contact me, they can, and I'll be happy to give them the link, and also to the I Refuse number 2 fail. You can go to irefuse2fail.com, and there's a little video on there that explains a little bit about what I'm talking about, and you can sign up. It is by invitation only, by the way. We're only basically doing North America. We're not doing the world, and there's a reason for that. And but you fill out this form, and then I send you an invitation, and you can come to one or all the events. We don't care.
Yeah, and I love that it's particular. You invite only. It
Mm-hmm.
keeps, when you have a community, one bad apple, two bad apples can blow
Well,
up your community.
everybody's experienced being Zoom bombed, right?
Yeah, that's true.
We don't
too.
want that.
So how can people get a hold of you personally?
Well, you can get a hold of me at info@irefuse2fail.com. But I also have another website, but that's really the best way to get a hold of me is through the I Refuse to Fail platform. I have my consultant's website, but that's a little longer to get to.
Yeah, and they can reach you that way. And if they want questions about the consulting advising
Right.
that you do. And I love the distinction, because you're not a coach.
No.
Here's a consultant. Hey, I've got a question. You give me advice and move on. That's an advisor. Coach is, every other week or weekly.
Yeah, I'm not holding people accountable. If they can't be accountable, I'll get them a coach.
Yeah. There you go. Perfect. So we're at the end here. God, time flew. I've got one personal question I always like to ask.
No, sure.
So if you, dead or alive, if you could sit down for dinner, who would that be and why?
If I could sit down to dinner, who would it be and why? It would probably be my father again.
Nice.
The reason is because I didn't realize all the knowledge he had given me that I didn't realize until now. And I would like to sit down and pick his brain some more, because I'm sure there was more in there that I didn't get. And also to thank him, and that's really what I, off the top of my head, that's all I can think of,
I love it. My dad was my mentor too, a great businessman like your dad. And unfortunately, we get older and they pass. And now is the time we're like, I wish we could just have that magic wand. Can I ask you a couple of questions? So I love
Exactly.
that.
Yeah. If I could go back again, because hey, listen, I'm older than water, but I'm still learning,
The last part of that question is, what kind of restaurant will you go to? What would you order?
What kind of restaurant? It's always seafood. I enjoy seafood, and it really doesn't matter as long as it's fresh.
Fresh, yeah. That's kind of important with seafood. I love that. Well, thank you, Carl. This has been fun. This is like Shoot the Shit doing business a podcast. So
yeah,
we did. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you. And you educate people too and inspired them. And I try
to.
And don't forget my TV show. It's Fridays at 2 p.m. Pacific, 5 p.m. Eastern on Roku, Apple. You'll reach out. I'll get you a link. The link will be in the show notes, as well as all Carl's information. Don't forget, go through the show notes. You can click on the links and have access. And also, too, leave a comment on YouTube and eventually when he's on my podcast, too. If I see it and something you need to talk to him, I'll connect you guys as well. That's what a guy does when he's networking. And, you know, as always, me and Carl, thank you for watching or listening to this podcast. And we'll see you on the next episode of Doing Business with a Servant's Heart. Thank you all.